might want to turn off the light.
Yeah, turn off the light.
Turn off. So we just actually had some sirens go off, and I wanted to record this quick video to let you guys know that just because it's the middle of the night does not mean that the sirens don't blare. They're gonna blare if a missile is inbound, or if there's any type of like attack inbound. They're gonna blare no matter what. It doesn't matter if it's 1 p.m. or if it's 1 in the morning. It's gonna blare no matter what. And yes, it does get annoying.
Where are we going now?
Right now, we're going deeper into the country. We're going to be right across the Dnieper River. We're headed towards, what's the name of the place again, Pawel? Nikopol. And the plan is not only to deliver aid there, but it's noticeable for another reason. It's part of the reason why I'm on this trip, that it is very close to the Russian positions. Specifically, the Russian occupation of the nuclear power plant in Zaporizhzhia, the same nuclear power plant at which they're storing weapons and possibly firing upon it, putting a huge part of the country, not only the country, but the continent at risk. The Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant is the largest nuclear power plant throughout all of Europe. The Russians captured the nuclear power plant earlier in the war during March, but not without resistance. Local residents actually tried to stop the advance of the Russian army, but this was violently crushed by the Russian military. The Russians then attacked the nuclear power plant, firing upon it in a battle that was live-streamed online by power plant staff to make the world aware of the fact that the Russian military was actively firing upon the largest nuclear power plant in Europe. This led to damage throughout the facility and actually caused a fire in one of the administrative buildings of the nuclear power plant. Since then, the Russians have kept control of the nuclear power plant, but not without putting it in grave danger, with many close calls and explosions going off near the reactor. There has even been instances recorded online by power plant staff of the Russian military storing weapons within the facility. You do not need to be a nuclear scientist to understand that the Russians are playing a dangerous game here with the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, putting not only all of Ukraine in danger, locals in danger, but also all of Europe in danger of a second Chernobyl. The International Atomic Energy Agency, a non-governmental watchdog that seeks to promote the peaceful use of nuclear energy, agreed with me, which is why they organized a visit to the nuclear power plant. So on the eve of this visit, I decided to go near the nuclear power plant, talk to locals, and see what was going on with a Geiger counter. So we're now entering Nikopol. We're driving past what is the official entrance into it. It's been a largely uneventful ride, which compared to yesterday, I'm quite happy for. What I am referring to here is that the day before driving to the power plant, the Ukrainians launched a major counteroffensive on Kherson from our direction in Mykolaiv. This not only led to massive shelling, but also the deliberate shelling of civilians in the city center in Mykolaiv by the Russian army, which just barely missed us and killed many local civilians.
Where was that? Oh, fuck! Jesus. Fuck!
How you doing, Dylan?
Doing okay.
You alright? Okay. If
Fucking hell!
right, both of you. We're going behind that in a minute. Yeah.
I think we should go to the car and
We're going down.
drive from here.
We need to get out of here?
Yeah.
I will release a separate video on that experience in the future. But now we're entering a location which is extremely, unbelievably in fact, close to the Russian occupied power plant, which we're seeing more and more explosions come about right next to the nuclear reactor. So I want to come here to talk to the locals about it, ask them what they think, and also, you know, I got a Geiger counter, might as well check.
Hello, Dylan. Where are we?
We are currently diagonal across the river from the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Powerplant, which is currently occupied by the Russian Federation on Ukrainian soil. And the reason why we're here is because this nuclear power plant is causing a lot of stir in international press, from nuclear monitors like the IAEA. Even the government of China has even stood up and said, hey, Russia, chill, because there's a lot of fear that Russia is actually using this power plant to cause an international incident in order to add more pressure on the Ukrainian government, almost playing, if you'll excuse the term, Russian roulette with the Ukrainian population. We've seen explosions happen next, I think like a few hundred feet from the reactor core. The Russians, of course, are blaming the Ukrainians are blaming the Russians. Nobody believes the Russians. And so that's left the whole international community, of course, remembering the legacy of Chernobyl, quite rightfully fearful that something, a nuclear incident might occur here that could hurt a lot of people, possibly damage Ukrainian, speaking of explosions, Ukrainian territory for generations. I mean, there's a reason why Chernobyl is not a positive legacy. That's been like that all morning. How was my night? Well, I woke up in the middle of the night because, again, we were parked, I would say, what, 2 miles that way?
Yes.
We parked 2 miles that way. We could see the power plant in the distance, and there were some explosions. We saw what looked like, to me, this is how I would describe it, like a small volcano erupting from the ground on a few occasions, especially to the right side of the power plant. We saw a few explosions. We saw some rockets being fired from the Ukrainian side. We saw stuff being fired from the Russian side. It was a battle, and we were in the middle of it because we were parked between many of the Ukrainian positions, many of the Russian positions. We were in a field, though, so thankfully we weren't a high-priority target unless the Russians were going to start deliberately targeting sunflowers. At that point, I eventually went to sleep, but then it was in the middle of the night. I think it was probably about, what, 2 a.m.? Mm-hmm. It was just this thunderous roar of artillery fire that was constant. It was boom, 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 boom. Now, this morning I can feel the artillery because I'm closer. And so I'm able to actually feel a lot of the artillery that's going off. Not the ones that are more distant, but I think about 20 minutes ago, we were parked a little bit that way, and I could feel the artillery when it hit the ground. But it was more like I think a lot of people have this idea in their mind of what an explosion is supposed to sound like. When it's distant enough, it just sounds like a loud tap. As if somebody had this giant finger from God himself, and he just went up to like a rock and just went like, boom, 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 boom. That's what it sounded like. And so today, and that's the really interesting part of us being here today, nuclear inspectors from the IAEA are actually going to be visiting the power plant. We don't know how much access they're going to get. We don't know if they're going to be actually given a decent tour of the place, or they're going to be given one of those North Korea guided tours that I'm expecting. Hopefully they get good access. Hopefully this visit will mark a positive change moving forward when it comes to this power plant. We're not going to see such terrible actions going forward. But it has a lot of people, including me, concerned. And so I have actually brought a handy dandy tool here. What is this tool, Philip?
It's a Geiger meter.
It's a Geiger counter. That's right, Philip. We're doing Dora the Explorer over here. So what this does is it picks up radiation. And so what we're going to be using it today for is to check the radiation levels over here. Now, obviously, we're not going to get the best read in the world. It would be better if we were over there, but we cannot go into Russian-occupied territory because I do not want to die. And so what we're going to be doing with this is just picking up the radiation levels in this area. Now, when it gets dangerous, you're looking at levels of like 5, right? So what we're seeing right now on the Geiger meter is actually levels of 0.13. I've been doing this a little bit off of camera, and we've seen a range of 0.10 to 0.15. The highest I saw is 0.16. So these are all normal levels of background radiation. We're not seeing anything out of the ordinary here whatsoever. So we have no evidence of any like major leak. So we're not going to get any huge newsworthy story today, thankfully. And so that's the positive side of this story today, is that nothing is leaking, at least yet, while we're here. How do you feel, Philip? How do you feel about this?
Can we try to put it in closer to the water?
Closer to the water?
Yeah.
You could try that. It's not a terrible idea. I mean, if there's something being dumped into the water, that I guess is a possibility. I doubt that's happening. At least I hope so. Let's see what we got here. I have no clue if this is the correct way to do it, but I don't know any other way. Well, I got 0.15, 0.18, 0.16. It's all still normal levels of background radiation. So it looks like we're good.
Yeah,
You growing any third tails? I said third tails, as if you already have two. Okay. Oh, isn't that a lovely sound to hear near a nuclear power plant? God, I still can't pronounce it correctly. Nuclear. Never get it. While filming in the area, locals invited us into their home to meet their friends and family while talking about their experiences.
Ty horovčik. А так ми живемо. Один одного любимо і живемо, тому що жити нам треба. І любити треба, да? Мій маленький хлопчик, мій маленький гарунчик. Да.
Пішли. Спустимо. Фонарик є хороший?
No dobra, dawaj. My za wami.
Укриті. А оце так ми спимо тут. Вся сім'я. Сирості усьому, да?
Это wasze konserwy.
Ну да.
A що це? Що ви
А
там
це
маcie?
хазяйку треба. Ну такого сильно нема. Вам дати томати, помідорчики дай вам? Бутылечек. На дорожку.
Только один. Зачем? Только один. А нет, это дельки, это много. Знаете, мы не покушаем этого. Как можно, этот виногрон, это хорошее, przepyszne, ale to у нас, знаете, мы ядом далеко, и мы не покушаем это все.
Да. Ну, один бутылечек, один.
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 Але маленький. Ой, а у вас...
Ми тільки такі.
То може що інше, добре, але ні.
А що інше, ти томат? О.
Хорошо, дякую. Дякую. Ні на що, дякую.
Це варення малинове. Отак і живемо. Ось що ж прилетіло, бач? Окна повилітало, пленка забита, все, повністю.
Красиwe. Kitka.
Томчик.
No ale to nie pokuszamy tego.
Хто це такий? Хто це такий?
Дякую вам.
Живемо і
Вам
віримо.
теж дякуємо.
Дякую вам за гостину. Так что, все будет добро. Эта война покончится, это каждая война.
Це так.
Jak wojna się skończy, my tam też usiądziemy.
Поп'ємо горілку,
pochoworzymy.
І я вспомню вас і вас.
Ми ще вам навіть осколочки покажемо.
Мы тут будем назад, за 2-3.
Конечно, так, бери. Можем.
Конечно.
Ось такі ось, о.
У меня такие, потому что я моим людям, что я знаю, я им расскажу, что этот, знаете, что они знали, что сделать сюда, что люди...
Оці самі жорстокі осколки.
Yeah, we also received the shrapnels that
Shrapnel. You know where it landed?
they landed here.
In there.
Yeah, in their courtyard. Those shrapnels arrived from quite a distance. It's been like hundreds and hundreds of meters away from the nearest explosion. So you have to imagine how big impact such a bombs had. So if anybody will be standing on that courtyard at that time, it will be shot into pieces by those shrapnels. And yeah, as you see, we have kids here, we have children here, and yeah. Even if the most of people has left this area, those villages has been mostly abandoned.
Hey,
there are still people. More gifts for us. Дякую.
Та зараз без ще.
Дякую. Thank you.
І ще одну, Бог любить троїцю.
Это
Бог
все,
любить
это
троїцю.
не надо, это много. Это серьезно, это много.
Все.
As you see, we are receiving more and more gifts. We might open a local grocery shop soon. Hopefully, I'm gonna sell some leave it. So yeah, if you want to buy some grapes, I can give you some good deal for it. I've got quite a lot.
Так, Саша, а ну поможи, чтобы это не упало. Оно сейчас рассыпется.
Дякую.
Я с Польши, не стреляй.
Це свої, це свої. Стріляй тоді отуди. Тікай, тікай. Отуди стріляй. На ту сторону. Да. О, правильно, все. Кожний куси мені.
До побачення, дякую.
Це ще зелений. Це на вино піде.
Пока, пока.
Ні, горобчик.
Right now we are sitting in front of Energograd, the nuclear power plant. We eat some cucumbers from the Kiev.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, and drink some vodka with the locals.
Yeah, we're having our friends here, our two friends.
Франція була тут.
Французы это были?
Були, да, син.
Японці були.
Але что, журналисты?
Журналісти, да, приїжджали.
All right. He said that in his village where we came from now, there were some journalists from Japan and France as well. So yeah, this spot here is really a good one to observe.
Question:
Go on.
Did they drink vodka with the Japanese?
Oh, they
journalists?
haven't been here. They haven't been in that spot. This spot was like a virgin spot for us, especially
Oh,
for us. So,
wow.
which I don't think they were drinking vodka. I don't think they could manage to drink vodka with those guys. Only the toughest of the toughest can do it. So, no, I'm fine. Thank you, Train.
Of course, I'll take some.
Filip,
Thank you.
Ні, отак. Ні, ну,
Слава Україні.
Героям
Слава
Героям
інтернаціоналу. Робиться в нас на низу.
people who are affected most directly.
Як ми живемо, що ми думаємо, чим ми дишимо.
Я ж кажу, я ось теж знакомому допомагаю, що казав вже ж. Кришу прикриваємо. Снаряд в двір прилетів. Півхати немає, гараж все.
Як уїбало, я
Да.
і почав зариватися в землю.
Как Москва
150 метрів від мене, як снаряд. І я впав нахуй і почав зариватися нахуй. От ноги, руки, все труситься, блядь. Страшно, блядь. Я ніколи не боявся так. За свою життя я ніколи не боявся так, як оце зараз боюсь. За себе, за своїх рідних, за свою племянника. Ну, дочка моя зараз в Польщі. Ну, моя дочка в Польщі. Ну, моїй дочці вже 20 років. 22 года. Вона в Польщі. У мене є племянник. Я боюся капець. За себе не боюсь.
Зараз іду, я тільки сюди прийшов.
А от за дітей страшно.
Вже наскільки він вироботався, як зривається, ховається там, ну, лягає по стіну, а вечором вже як стріляють в підвал, типу, бо бомбоубіжище біжить.
Угу.
Оце вже в психіка так в дитини виробилася.
Зам.
Це отакий, скид. Та крьосний його сидить.
Понял.
Отаке, ну,
Нічого.
так діти маленькі вже, наскільки психіка виробилася.
Ми
Понял.
побідемо.
А расскажите, а много детей маленьких сюда?
Ну, в мене, я ось живу, в мене, виходить, жінка з дочкою була 14 років, малому 3,5. Та багато дітей, ну багато повивозили.
Да, повивозили і є.
Так добре, так вы мне расскажите, почему ж те люди не пошли далеко сюда? Почему что они поехали я не знаю, в Киев, в інші города в Україні?
Ти знаєш,
Ні. Я тут не брошу своє, оставив, щоб все такі, як, є теж, як в кожного, що бросив, знали, що нічого нема, повитягують все з дому, з хати.
О.
Як кажуть, в сім'ї не без рода. Повитягують. Останнє оставить. У мене на Западну є куди виїхати. У мене батько з Западної, з Хмельницької області. Є куди виїхати, ну не хочу. Це моя тут батьківщина, я тут родився. Судьба померти, значить тут помру.
А вы не хотели поехать в Польшу, где
Мене не випустять.
Ага, понял, вам не можно, потому что вы...
Да.
Що ви
А
житель?
жінка з дітьми
Я
каже,
це,
що я ще
виходить,
там робити? Ну, да.
щоб ти розумів, ми, виходить, і не воюємо. Хоча в мене є руки, в мене є ноги, в мене є голова. Але я не воюю. В кума теж так само є голова, руки, ноги. А ми зараз сидимо, як ото барани, бля, як ото свині нахуй, на заставі.
І ночі то дітей, сім'ю в підвал.
І
Можемо зараз до мене заїхати,
Я то, знаєш, Чортова
зайдемо,
рулетка.
куди
Чортова
ночі
рулетка.
спускаємося. Я покажу, ось
Куда-то,
рядом.
куда-то йобне. Ну, куда-то прилетить. І оце виліт іде, і лежиш. Господи, 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 блин, Господи, Господи, спаси, Господи, поможи.
Ага.
Газя! Опять чух, чух, чух. Господи, 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 куда? Туда, газя, нахуй. А куда-то 100% летить. Тобі ж, якщо летить, значить летить 100%. Ми тут всі молимося, ну куда-то летить. І куда-то прилетить, курва.
Понял.
Причому тут
А
майже населення, що вони його луплять.
А ми сидимо, тому що, блін, як тобі сказати, сидимо, тому що нас якось земля держа,
Батьківщина, так.
батьківщина держа. От держа.
Ви люблю вашу землю?
Я люблю.
Так, я обожнюю.
Ми-
Ну отсюди я нікуди.
Я хочу
оце
бути,
І
я
в
хочу бути,
Дніпропетровській
я
робив, ну
дуже
я
вважаю
сам
поляків.
сварщик.
О. А, разжили 2 места. Patrz jak poszło.
There's a smoke. Oh yeah, you're right. It's right to the left of the power plant.
Це ще глибоко. Іди, вставай тут. Ну, прости,
Ось цього.
Oh, я тоже.
А не Україну, а так
Я
вам.
тоже.
Курви. Росіяни, блядські, щоб ви виздихали.
Черти. Это черти.
So Dylan, what's your impressions about seeing, power plant so close?
You know, it's pretty wild to sit so close to the power plant and just hear explosions all around, next to it and around it. Considering, it's a power plant of radiation. The whole, the legacy of Chernobyl is very alive. But we took out the Geiger meter. We didn't find any strange detections. I mean, there's the IAEA is visiting the power plant today, so hopefully they get a good tour, not like one of those North Korea style tours where they're like, here is the glorious workers, and not showing them what's really going on at the power plant, which I'm sure the Russians are going to do. But people here seem to be largely used to the state of affairs. When the explosions happened, even the explosions that shook the ground, everybody kind of just, kept going about their day. But that's the thing about the human experience, is most people will adjust to their surroundings quite quickly. And so while the international community is quite in an uproar about this power plant and what the Russians are doing by stationing troops inside of it and possibly the explosions that are going on very close to the reactor, locals seem largely, used to the situation. It's not to say they don't have any concern, but, when you're eating pickles and drinking vodka next to it, eventually you get used to it, don't you?
So, Dylan,
Yeah.
what kind of experience we have got? Where we are going right now?
Well, we got a pretty interesting experience in the south of Ukraine. We interviewed locals. We filmed a massive bombardment that was happening during the nighttime. We filmed the power plant, which has the whole world paying attention to Ukraine, that the Russians might blow up. And I drank vodka and ate pickles next to that nuclear power plant. Still don't know how to pronounce nuclear, so I have not yet learned that on this trip. I think what's going to stick with me the most out of the whole trip was, one, the civilians who died in the strike. That I don't think I've fully processed that. Being there for a strike and it kills other people, doesn't kill me. I, for whatever reason, get to live. They, for whatever reason, get to die. And talking to the civilians who are every day living with a nuclear disaster right next to them, possibly happening at any moment, and listening to them tell me how we are drinking so much to cope with the stress of the constant bombardments and shrapnel hitting our homes, and with the possibility of that disaster happening. And that's the only way we can sleep. And getting woken up in the middle of the night by heavy bombardments. I would say that this is probably one of our most, I don't want to say interesting, but certainly one of our most impactful when it comes to the importance of the footage that we got. Also, I'm kind of buzzed.